In Minneapolis, a new movement is using the power of music in nonviolent protests. This is Singing Resistance, Twin Cities. Take a listen.
This is for our people who are locked inside. Together we will abolish ICE.
Inspired by protest songs from the civil rights movement and other global movements, the group formed just 4 days after the shooting death of Renee Good. It has since gone viral, bringing thousands of Minnesotans together to peacefully condemn the actions of federal agents. And now it's spreading to other cities, including Indianapolis, where singers there gathered in solidarity over the weekend to protest heightened ICE activity.
You know, they talk about the nod to the civil rights movement. Freedom songs were central to the civil rights movement and their strategy. It wasn't incidental. You think of We Shall Overcome. That was adapted from a hymn through the labor movement, and that became the anthem, right? If you think about the civil rights movement, you think about Ain't Gonna Let Nobody Turn Me Around, This Little Light of Mine, Oh Freedom. Those things were all sung in jails, in marches, on sit-ins. I mean, the history of singing as resistance goes all the way back to, frankly, chattel slavery in this country.
Yeah.
When you think about it, like enslaved people at the time used songs not only as, you know, to uplift themselves, but also it was coded communication. Wade in the water. It was, come on now,
Right.
somebody hear me.
Yes.
Don't let me get to start preaching.
No,
in
it's
here.
not Sunday, it's Monday. You know what's so interesting is I think when the administration looks back, whenever they actually do, they will realize doing this operation the way they did it in Minnesota was a huge mistake because it laid bare what cities in like LA and Chicago were saying, but no one was really listening. It was in Minnesota where they shot Renee Good and then they shot Alex Purdy, and they're seeing how they're pulling people out who end up being citizens, where they're taking people out of targets and they actually end up being citizens of the United States. And frankly, Minnesota, if you know Minnesota, especially after George Floyd, is a place where organizing and getting people riled up is not very difficult, right? These are Midwestern people, Midwesterners who are ready to get out in the street, get out in the streets and protect their neighbors. And I think the administration failed to understand that, and now you're starting to see. I mean, you even look at the Minnesota residents saying ICE has gone too far, 66% in a new poll. Only 23% say it's been about right and not gone far enough, 10%. You see polls like that around the country looking at what ICE is doing in this country.
And there's what's happening in Minnesota, and then there's also the fact that these singing resistance chapters are spreading all across the country, 26 different states. If we can put up the map so people can know where the singing resistance chapters are and whether or not they're in their own states. I think it's interesting, too, that part of the song that we were listening to was about the fact that they want their neighbors to know they are not alone, that there are folks who are inside their homes who are afraid to go outside, and simply to know that you are held in community with others is a sign of solidarity, of support, at a moment when it really matters.
Very much so. And it's also, I mean, to be clear, it's also a tactic, right? Singing in a group when you are experiencing resistance from the state, the government, frankly, the federal government, it keeps you calm. It helps people feel like, yes, they are not alone as they're out there on the front line. This is a tactic that the labor movement has used. Folks found when they sung on the picket lines, it helped create a sense of camaraderie. The United States government is trying to crush the spirit and the will of the people in this country. They are trying to push us into subjugation and telling us to bend the knee. And the singing resistance, the people in the streets all over this country, they're saying we are not going to go quietly.